This video explains some of the key concepts and terminology used with Akana. They may be different from terminology that you are already familiar with. This guide can be used as a cheat sheet to help you to quickly clarify any of the concepts. In Akana, unmanaged target API endpoints are managed by means of API products. The API product is the digital asset which packages all necessary elements for successful data exchange between software systems in such a way that developers can quickly and effectively utilize it in their code. In Akana, the API product configuration is automatically deployed on the Akana API gateway. At the same time, its details are published in the Akana API portal. The API product acts as the interface to one or multiple target endpoints. From an Akana perspective, such endpoints are part of a downstream resource. This resource is represented in Akana by what is called a physical service. The API product offers virtualized access to this physical service. A physical service can represent different categories of downstream or target resources, for example, a RESTful API, a SOAP service, or a JMS queue. API products publish virtual endpoints that are available on the Akana API gateway. Client applications can use these endpoints to submit API requests, provided they are authorized to do so. The Akana API gateway routes API requests to one or multiple physical endpoints. A physical endpoint is the endpoint exposed by a target resource, which is called a physical service in Akana. The physical endpoint gives access to the actual implementation of a function offered by an API. For example, the endpoint can allow for data retrieval or data modification. Physical endpoints should only be accessible via the API gateway. In Akana, a policy is a reusable asset that can simply be attached to any API. Once attached, the rules that the policy contains apply to the API endpoint. In other words, once a request is sent, the policy will automatically be executed by the API gateway for the endpoint with which the policy is associated. The request will only be accepted if the rules contained in the policy are satisfied. A policy takes care of a specific and complete task. For example, a policy might control client access, look for malicious content, validate a message, log transactions, or monitor traffic volume. Lifecycle management is a core Akana capability. Akana uses a very comprehensive lifecycle definition, which takes into account the stages from API product creation to publishing, the evolution of the resources that are targeted by the API product, the various environments that the API product is promoted across, and its consumption lifecycle. API products are rarely static. New requirements may result in new versions of the product, which themselves go through various lifecycle stages. Promotion is the process of propagating changes from one environment to another. API products will typically be created in a development environment and eventually published in a production environment. They may pass through one or multiple additional environments for testing and QA purposes. In Akana, promotion is automated for efficiency reasons and to help avoid mistakes that might result from a manual process. With Akana, the API portal refers to the portal user interface that is available to API admins or API developers, and also to the portal that is available to the consumers of these APIs. Both categories of users can access the portal using the same URL. Alternatively, the portal can be offered as a distinct instance to each of the two user categories. In this case, the portal instances will be accessible using distinct host names. Also, their respective look and feel can be quite different. A license represents a tailored API product package that can be offered or applied to API consumers. Essentially, a license describes an API subscription plan that applies special benefits or constraints to API usage. Once again, be aware that concepts and terminology used in Akana may differ from terminology that you are already familiar with. In the guides, your special attention will be called by banners like the one shown here, where key concepts need explicit clarification. Finally, here's an overview of all key terms that we have just presented. You can use this overview as a cheat sheet with all other guides in this series. This guide presented you with an overview of key Akana terminology and concepts and can be used as a cheat sheet or quick reference guide with other guides in this series.